Hello guys and welcome to my new video, and today we'll be talking about guilds. We'll be talking about my guild specifically. We'll be talking about recruitment in Shadowlands 9.1 and the general consensus of the state of the game and what's happening in 9.15 and is it going to help. But the general idea of this video is somewhat bleak, it's somewhat a little bit on the negative side, mainly because, again, I wasn't completely sure why I'm making this video. Maybe it's because I want to vent, maybe it's because I want to know your opinions. This is a discussion video. Why are guilds dying? Or at least in my opinion, they seem to be dying. Why are people leaving the game, especially in raiding? And again, a lot of the information here is going to be anecdotal. I don't have official stats because there are no official stats. Blizzard doesn't release things like, oh hey, this is how many guilds left, or this is how many people left the game. You just kind of have to guess around it. You have to guess what's happening. And for me, based on my friend list, based on the players that I play with, based on the guilds, it has been really sad in terms of people leaving the game, in terms of guilds disbanding, and in terms of what's happening to my guild. So the story is going to start from the beginning in terms of what's happening to the guild that I'm currently in. So like I mentioned, I want this to be a discussion video because quite frankly, I want to know your opinion about this because I don't know why people are leaving. I'm in a guild that after we killed Mythic Sylvanas a couple of weeks ago, and the second we killed Mythic Sylvanas, even before we killed Mythic Sylvanas, we knew there's going to be a bunch of people, like 6, maybe a bit more, that straight up quit the game, left the guild, or took a break. A break with no end to some extent where they might come back, they might not. So all of a sudden, a good portion of the guild, a good portion of the officers, a good portion of raid leaders were gone. And this is actually the first time that this happened to me when people voluntarily left the game after killing the last boss, because usually people will stay around a couple of weeks, they'll do re-clears. The re-clears will be fun for a little while because a lot of the times when you progress on a last mythic boss, you spend a couple of weeks doing the last mythic boss and you want to check out the first few bosses. So re-clears usually happen for a month or two and then people get bored. And this is the first time where people straight up just quit the game after beating the last boss. It's almost like for a bunch of people this game is a chore that they have to do or they needed to do in order to help their guild progress, but once this chore was complete, they were free, they were happy, and they left. And it was the weirdest kind of relationship that I've seen with a game. So after we lost the 6 people, the recruitment began. And this is not a video to tell you that you cannot find recruits or there is not enough people looking for guilds. I feel that if you're in a high populated server, especially Horde, we're in Kazakh Horde, one of the most popular servers probably in the world almost. We had, the following week after the whole fallout in the guild, we had 8 new recruits waiting to prove themselves in Sanctum of Domination Mythic Reclear. And I know that the recruitment team is planning to have even more recruits the next week, more recruits the following week, in order to have a high turnover and find the right people. There's going to be almost like a wheel of people coming in and out of the guild, which can be, some people might like that, some people might not like that. Again, this is something that happens. You can see that there's a lot of people looking for guilds, but the fun fact or something interesting to happen is that a lot of the people who are coming into the guild, they're coming in because their guild disbanded in similar circumstances, which I wasn't aware of. I thought that maybe it was only our guild who had these people leave after Mythic Sylvanas, and maybe it's just me, maybe it's just us, and we can recover. But the people who are coming in, they're also coming in from similar circumstances, and I know in a couple of weeks we're going to get recruits from Mythic Sylvanas guild, who they killed Mythic Sylvanas, but they're leaving. And then recently we had to do Mythic Fate Scribe, and we actually pogged a tank because we didn't have a tank, because our tank was away, and we got a poke tank, and we ended up killing Fate Scribe, and I was quite happy. And it was interesting to know that the mythic tank that we got, the poke tank that we got, their guild killed Sylvanas. They disbanded instantly, or almost disbanded instantly afterwards, and he's looking for a guild as well. It was just crazy to hear all these stories about how guilds are disbanding so early in the tier. So let's go to possible reasons why this is happening. For me, it's really weird to see this kind of drop off in the Sanctum of Domination raid this early, because it is not a fresh raid, but it's also not an old raid. I know a lot of people, and I think this is one of the main reasons why people are scared, is that 9.0 and 9.1, the waiting period time for that patch was just so long that so many people had to do Castle Nachia for months and months and months and months, and I felt they were kind of burnt out from raiding. So I do think that there is certain amount of fear that Sanctum of Domination is also going to last a really long time, and they don't want to do that. In my personal opinion, I actually really enjoy Sanctum of Domination. I think it's a really good raid. I like every single boss with the exception of Kel'Thuzad. but Kel'Thuzad is still not comparable to something like Mythic pre-nerf SLG. So for me, Sanctum of Domination is better than Castle Natria, and I think that people are dropping off this early in the tier is a really bad indication of what's to come in the future. So I do want to hear your opinions about this. Is the raid bad? Maybe people just don't enjoy Sanctum of Domination. Maybe they don't like Paintsmith being such a big roadblock for so many people so early on. Is there something really wrong with the raid? I personally don't see it, but this is why I'm making the video, because I want to know your opinions. Is Sanctum better than Castle Natria? Is Sanctum better than other raids, or is it worse? Is it insanely bad to re-clear? I'm also not oblivious to the fact that World of Warcraft Shadowlands is in a really poor state in terms of the systems outside of raids and Mythic Plus, with the time gating, with the Covenant swapping, with the Covenant campaigns, with the Domination gear, with the legendaries. The list goes on with the chores and time gating that you have outside of raids and Mythic Plus, which I know impacted people who wanted to play alts, who wanted to play their mains even further and do re-clears and things like that. So I can see why there could be some drop off in terms of the game, in terms of the systems, but I feel the rating is still interesting. And I'm seeing a lot of people dropping out in terms of reading on social media, in terms of reading Reddit, in terms of asking my friends, in terms of what's happening to my friend group, which has halved in the recent weeks or months because of Shadowlands, and I think raiding has something to do with it as well. So let's go to 9.15, and there's a lot of things that are happening in 9.15. I honestly feel the list of changes that they're making is one of the most impactful, or it's going to make 9.15 the most impactful patch that Blizzard has ever released, I think, in the history. They're removing a bunch of time gating systems, they're removing Covenant or making Covenant swapping a lot easier, they're making just basically all the things that people hated, they're kind of removing them, and they're saying, hey guys, you won, we'll bring you the game that you want. I'm not sure if that's going to bring back a lot of people, but I think the people that were currently playing or currently taking a break, they're going to come back. Now the problem is the lack of content. Blizzard might not have the resources right now to create content in a fast way or the way that they would want. I think in a perfect world situation, they would want new raid, new Mythic Plus coming out as quickly as possible because they want to retain the player base. They want the patch 9.15 to be insanely good in terms of the systems, and they want the new content to be really, really cool. So what they're doing is really smart. They're remaking or adding old content like Mage Towers, things like Legion Mythic Plus, which is old content, but can actually be really nice for new and old players who might want to replay it, kind of experience nostalgia, or some players who have never seen Legion Mythic Plus or Mage Tower experience it for the first time. This means that the development time, they don't have a lot of development time, they just need to scale it in a proper way. They don't need to assign a lot of resources, and it adds new content. But I'm somewhat fearful because there's not a lot of raid content coming out or is being announced in the near future. A lot of people are scared about the fact maybe we're gonna have another 8-month drought of raid content. I think the people who like Mythic Plus, who never seen Legion Mythic Plus or Mage Tower, will be fine or have a lot of fun in 9.15, but what about the guilds who are already seeing a drop off in players when approaching Sanctum of Domination? They're going to try to keep their roster for another, I don't know how many months. So this is something that I fear, the state of guilds or mythic raiding guilds, heroic raiding guilds, whatever. A lot of people dropping off, leaving the game already at this stage. They are forced to merge, they are forced to get a bunch of trials, and all of a sudden you have this whirlwind of trials coming in, of new people coming in, and all of a sudden the guilds that you had for years and years and years are kind of gone. And there's not a lot of things you can do. Again, turnover is going to happen in the game. I'm just kind of fascinated to see that it's happening right now. So guys, I really want to know your opinion about this. I told you about my guild. We're having a new roster basically every week. We're re-clearing bosses. I'm just happy to be raiding because I enjoy raiding quite a bit. But I'm also very interested to know why is there so much turnover? Why are people quitting raiding? What are the reasons? And again, I'm making this video basically to vent, to talk about it. And just want to hear your opinions, guys. Leave a comment if you like the video, like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next guide.